Hi everybody. There's something that I've thought a lot about over the past few years that means a lot to me, that I'm very passionate about. I talk a lot about, and you guys who follow me have seen me speak a lot about voting for the lesser of the two evils and how that is the most brilliant strategy that they ever use against us to keep a rigged system in place. Our politicians aren't the only people that hoodwink us. They aren't. Prosecutors do it as well. Our criminal justice system is laughable, to say the least. I want to take a moment to talk a little bit about George Stinney. And I'm sure a lot of you heard about George Stinney. 14-year-old kid that was murdered in the state of South Carolina. George Stinney was too small to even sit in the electric chair. So the Bible that he was carrying, they made him sit on top of and use it as a booster seat. His parents wasn't even with him during his final days. His parents were threatened. His parents were threatened that if they didn't leave the city, that if they didn't leave the state, they would be hung. So the next time they seen their son, he was burned up in a box. Now, George Stinney was accused of killing two people that he didn't kill. 70 years later, they exonerated him. 70 years later. Anthony Hinton, from my home state of Alabama, did 3 decades in prison. Anthony Hinton did 3 decades in prison on death row for a crime that he never committed. Anthony Hinton spent 3 decades on death row fighting for his life. He fought back and forth with the prosecutors. Him and his attorneys fought back and forth with the prosecutors to retest the evidence that Anthony Hinton told them that will prove that he wasn't the shooter, it wasn't his gun. And not only did the prosecutors not let him retest his evidence, but the prosecutors fought him to make sure that he was never allowed to retest the evidence. Meaning that they didn't let him retest the evidence because they were fearful that it would destroy their case. Or they knew he was actually innocent to begin with. 3 decades later, Anthony Hinton is now free. And he's been free now for about 2 years. And I made a point that I'm going to continue to talk about it until justice is done. You see, Anthony Hinton is now free because of the same evidence that he tried to get the prosecutors to retest to begin with, that they didn't want to retest. So my point is, we know who some criminals are, and those are the people that put him in prison for 3 decades. Why haven't we arrested them yet? Why haven't we investigated them yet? That's the problem that I'm talking about. I bring up George Stinney, and I bring up Anthony Hinton, because there are still so many Anthony Hintons and George Stinneys in this world today that are locked away behind bars for a crime that they did not commit. And not only are they, and it isn't by accident. And please, think about what I'm saying. Innocent people never go to jail by accident. It comes at the cost when someone's either up for an election or trying to advance their career. Think about that. No one ever goes to prison and spends decades behind bars by accident. It never happens. And the prosecutors continuously hoodwink the public because, think about it, we are all human beings. So when someone loses a life on the street, the public are so saddened that they want something to be done about it, and rightfully so. So what the prosecutors do is they find the first person they can find to put it on. The first black person or the first person named Pookie or even Billy, because it's not all about race when it comes to this. These guys only care about winning. They don't care if you're actually innocent. They don't care. They don't care. This is how they get away with this time and time again. This is what they do. Think about it. A crime's committed on the street, someone gets killed, blame the crime on Pookie, convict Pookie of the crime, tell the public that we got our guy, and the public is fooled on Facebook saying justice is served. That's the reality of the situation. Our criminal justice system is flawed, folks, and it's racist. That's the reality of the situation. I'm not here to sugarcoat anything. Our criminal justice system is flawed and it's racist. Our criminal justice system is, out of all the progress we've made in our country, our criminal justice system is something that still lags behind. I mean, it's got like a 1800 style system going on here, where people of color do more time than whites for the exact same crime. That's the reality of the situation. And to be clear, there are some Billies, there are some white people that are in prison behind bars for decades for crimes they did not commit. I know. It happens. And their life matters too. Everyone's life matters. You see, I have to be honest. Before the Troy Davis situation, I didn't really have a opinion on the death penalty one way or another. But when I seen what they did to Troy Davis, when I seen that everyone was asking for them to just re-look at the evidence, like, hey, just make sure that we have the right person here. Let's just make sure. Nope, couldn't do it. Even though nearly all the witnesses recanted their testimony that said he didn't do it. Nope. They said they just wanted to get it over with. So what happens is you kill an innocent person, you charge us, the taxpayers, to commit murder, and the real criminal is still walking the streets. Congrats. We can do better than that. In the most advanced nation in the world, we can do better than that. But see, we have to hold our prosecutors accountable, just like I always say, we should hold our politicians accountable. When you let our prosecutors get away with things like that, to where they can turn our judicial system into a win-loss ratio, it can be your son. It can be your daughter. They only care about X's and O's, wins and losses, folks. Until we change that. Matter of fact, I'm going to go a step further than that. The death penalty should be banned nationwide. We don't need it. Are there people that commit heinous crime that deserve to die? Of course. But the problem is we have people in place who we cannot trust with the death penalty. It needs to go. It needs to go. Why isn't it that we don't never investigate prosecutors? Just make sure that, for example, when someone is exonerated, why don't we at least make sure that the person that helped convicted them was really, working in good faith? Because there are a lot of politicians that has covered evidence. Lots of them. Lots of them. We can do better than what we've been doing so far. Anthony Hinton, the person that arrested Anthony Hinton should be in jail. That's the facts of the matter. The fact of the matter, they should be in jail. I'm tired of seeing stories where somebody has spent decades in prison and you saying, oh, we're going to send them $1 million. Okay. And who's going to jail for putting them there? I don't want to hear about how much money they're going to get. I'm over it. I'm sick and tired of it. It's happening year after year after year. Our criminal justice system is more of a injustice system, to say the least. And until we do something about it, they're going to continuously hoodwink. The same thing with this election. Until we stand up to the powers that be, until we stand up to the system and challenge it, we're always going to be forced to vote for the lesser of the two evils, where they continuously hoodwink us. We're going to always be hoodwinked by our prosecutors to just put someone in jail just to calm down the public. That's not good enough. That's not good enough. We can do better than that. We can and we will do better. And the way we do better is by starting with getting a progressive agenda. And start holding our politicians accountable. Start holding the DAs accountable. When we start doing that, we get some sense of change in this nation, and we prove that we are people capable of doing big things. I'm Kendall Sen Sullivan with Real Progressives, and I'm going to leave it there.